Hey guys, tonight we slip into the frostbitten world of the Ice Age, where glaciers stretch like endless white carpets and the wind bites harder than your ex's passive-aggressive texts. Picture this. You're standing on a frozen plain, your breath puffing out in clouds, the horizon a jagged line of icebergs glinting under a pale Sunday. The air smells of snow and something faintly musky, maybe a herd of mammoths lumbering nearby. It's 80,000 BCE, and survival's a daily gamble. One wrong step, and you're probably not making it to the next solstice, so good luck with that. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and what time it is where you are. I love picturing you all cozying up worldwide. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're not just anywhere, you're deep in the Pleistocene, a time when Earth's thermostat is stuck on Arctic blast. Massive ice sheets blanket what we now call Europe, North America, and Asia, locking up so much water that sea levels are 100 meters lower than today. Coastlines you'd recognize are nowhere in sight. Britain's just a peninsula, clinging to Europe. The cold is relentless. But it's not all snow and misery. You're surrounded by a tundra steppe, a weird mix of grassy patches and frozen ground, dotted with scrappy bushes and the occasional stubborn tree. Herds of woolly mammoths, shaggy as your uncle's old rug, graze in the distance, their curved tusks slicing through the frost. You're not alone either. Your clan, a ragtag bunch of early humans, probably Homo sapiens or maybe some Neanderthal cousins, huddles nearby, wrapped in furs that smell like last week's dinner. Life here is raw. You wake up shivering, your stomach growling louder than the wolves circling at dusk. Food's not guaranteed, berries are scarce, and hunting means facing beasts that could squash you like a bug. Historians still argue whether early humans were more hunter or scavenger, picking at carcasses when the big predators were done. Either way, you're not at the top of the food chain. A quirky tidbit? Some clans might have used mammoth bones as fuel when wood ran low. Talk about a barbecue with extra paleo flair. The wind howls, carrying the faint crunch of ice underfoot, and you squint at the sky, hoping it doesn't dump another foot of snow. Your clan's survival hinges on smarts, teamwork, and a bit of luck. You trudge across the tundra, your feet sinking into the crusty snow, each step a reminder that nature's not your friend. The landscape's a paradox, beautiful but brutal, open but claustrophobic under all that ice. You spot a frozen river, its surface cracked like a shattered mirror, and wonder if it's safe to cross. Your clan's elder, a grizzled woman with eyes like flint, points to a safer path. She's seen winters that swallowed whole families, and her word is law. You're learning fast. Listen to the ones who've survived, or you'll be a popsicle by morning. The cold seeps into your bones, but there's a strange thrill in this world. Every moment you're alive feels like a middle finger to the elements. Let's talk about your neighbors, not the human ones, but the megafauna stealing the show. Woolly rhinos, built like tanks with horns that could skewer a bear, roam the plains. Cave lions, bigger than anything in Africa today, stalk in the shadows, their roars echoing like thunder. You're not exactly thrilled to meet them, but they're part of the deal. A funny thought. Imagine trying to explain to a mammoth that you're just borrowing its tusk for a spearhead. Good luck with that negotiation. The tundra's alive with movement, from scampering Arctic hares to the distant trumpeting of a mammoth herd. You feel small, but that's the Ice Age vibe. You're a speck in a world of giants. Your clan's got a rhythm, a way of moving through this frozen maze. You're not settled. Nobody's building condos yet. You follow the herds, because where there's prey, there's dinner. A mainstream fact. Archaeologists have found evidence of temporary camps, like piles of bones and stone tools, showing humans were nomadic, chasing food across vast distances. But here's a wild one. Some researchers think early humans might have used animal fat as a kind of prehistoric sunscreen to protect against frostbite, slathering on mammoth grease. That's a skincare routine even TikTok couldn't sell. You pause, scanning the horizon for movement, your heart pounding. The Ice Age doesn't care if you're cold, hungry, or scared. It's just another day in this frozen saga. The sun's dipping low, painting the ice with a pinkish glow, and you feel the weight of the day. Your clan's setting up for the night, piling furs and checking the fire's embers. You're not just surviving, you're learning to thrive in a world that's trying its best to freeze you out. The stars are starting to peek through, sharper than you've ever seen. And you wonder what stories your clan tells about them. Maybe they're gods, maybe they're ancestors. Or maybe they're just pretty lights in a world that's equal parts wonder and terror. You pull your furs tighter, ready for whatever tomorrow throws at you. You're up before dawn, the cold snapping at your fingertips as you crawl out from under a pile of musty furs. The tundra stretches endlessly before you, a greyish blur of frost and scrubby grass, and your stomach's already grumbling like a cranky cave bear. Today's mission is simple but brutal. Find food, or you're not making it through the week. The Ice Age isn't exactly a buffet. You're either chasing down a meal or scavenging what's left behind. You grab a flint-tipped spear, its weight familiar but heavy, and join your clan as they fan out across the frozen plain. The air smells of damp earth and distant pine, and every crunch of snow underfoot feels like a countdown to dinner or disaster. Hunting's the big game here, literally. You're eyeing a herd of reindeer grazing a few hills over, their antlers bobbing like weird forest crowns. Mainstream fact. Archaeologists have dug up bones showing early humans hunted large game like reindeer and horses, using spears and traps to take down animals way bigger than them. It's not just about strength, it's brains and teamwork. Your clan's got a system. Some of you drive the herd toward a choke point, maybe a narrow valley, while others wait with spears ready. You're part of the driving crew, shouting and waving hides to spook the reindeer. One wrong move, and you're eating snow instead of venison. A quirky tidbit? Some evidence suggests humans might have used wolf-like dogs to help herd prey, like the world's first attempt at a furry co-worker. Imagine calling Fido to take down a deer, hope he doesn't unionize. The hunt's intense, but gathering's no picnic either. You're scanning the ground for anything edible: roots, berries, maybe some weird tundra mushrooms if you're desperate. The women and kids in your clan are pros at this, spotting tiny green sprigs under the frost like they've got X-ray vision. You try to keep up, but your fingers are numb, and you're pretty sure you just grabbed a handful of inedible lichen. Historians still argue whether hunting or gathering provided more calories for Ice Age clans. Some say plants were the real MVP. Others swear by the protein-packed megafauna kills. Either way, you're not picky. You'll eat anything that doesn't eat you first. The wind picks up, stinging your face like 1,000 tiny needles, and you squint at the horizon. A lone mammoth lumbers in the distance, too big to tackle without a full crew. You're tempted to dream of that much meat, but one glance at its tree trunk legs snaps you back to reality. A quick joke: what do you call a mammoth that steps on your foot? A bad day at the office. You refocus on the reindeer. Your clan's signals getting sharper as the herd starts to panic. You're running now, heart pounding, the cold air burning your lungs. The spear in your hand feels like an extension of you, but doubt creeps in. Will you hit the mark, or will the herd bolt? Gathering's got its own drama. You're digging through frozen soil with a sharpened stick, hoping for a root that's not rock hard. The elder woman next to you, her hands gnarled as old oak, shows you how to spot edible tubers by their faint green shoots. She's muttering something about the spirits blessing the harvest, and you nod, half listening, half wondering if you'll ever feel your toes again. The kids are better at this than you, scampering around with baskets woven from dried grass, tossing in berries like it's a game. You're jealous of their energy. Must be nice to not know how close starvation always is. Another joke. Why don't Ice Age kids do chores? because they're too busy inventing hide-and-seek with saber-toothed cats. The reindeer hunt's reaching its peak. You're closing in, the herd's hooves thundering like a storm. Your clan's leader, a wiry guy with a scar across his cheek, signals for the final push. You drive the reindeer toward the ambush, your shouts blending with the wind. One stumbles, and a spear flies bullseye. The clan erupts in cheers, but you're too tired to join in. Dragging that carcass back to camp's going to be a workout, and you're already dreading the butchering. But for now, you've got meat, and that's a win. You glance at the sky, grey and heavy with clouds. Snow's coming, but you've got food, and that's enough to keep you going. Back at camp, the gathering crew's haul is modest but vital. Some roots, a few handfuls of berries, and something that looks like a spiky pine cone, but apparently you can eat it. You're not thrilled, but you'll take it. The clan's buzzing with quiet pride, everyone pitching in to sort the food. You're learning fast. Survival's a team sport. One guy's already bragging about his spear throw, and you roll your eyes. Every hunt's got a show off. The fire's crackling, and you're starting to feel human again. Even if your hands smell like reindeer blood and dirt. Tomorrow's another grind, but for now, you've earned a moment to breathe. You're crouched in the snow, breath steaming, as the clan prepares for the biggest gamble yet, a mammoth hunt. The air's thick with tension, like the moment before a storm breaks, and you can smell the musky, earthy scent of the herd grazing just over the ridge. These beasts are massive 10 tons of shaggy fur and curved tusks that could impale you faster than you can say, "Bad idea." Your clan's been tracking them for days, and now's the moment. You grip your spear. Its flint tip sharp, but feeling woefully inadequate. The plan's simple but insane. Corner 1. Wound it, and pray it doesn't turn you into a prehistoric pancake. Good luck, you're going to need it. Mainstream fact. Archaeological sites, like those in Siberia, show humans hunted mammoths using coordinated strategies, often driving them into pits or toward cliffs. Your clan's no different. You're part of a group of 20, split into drivers and strikers. The drivers, including you, will spook the herd toward a narrow ravine where the strikers wait with spears and boulders. You're moving now, keeping low, your heart thudding louder than the mammoth's distant grunts. The ground's uneven, frozen tussocks tripping you up, but you can't stop. One false step, and you'll lunch for something else. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have smeared themselves with mammoth dung to mask their scent during hunts. Yeah, you're basically rolling in poop for a shot at dinner. Glamorous, right? The herd's closer now, a wall of fur and muscle. You spot a young male, slightly separated, its trunk swinging lazily. That's your target. Not too big, but still enough meat to feed the clan for weeks. The elder signals, and you start shouting, banging rocks together, the noise echoing off the icy hills. The mammoths stir, trumpeting in panic, and you feel a jolt of fear mixed with adrenaline. They're moving, lumbering toward the ravine, and you're running, snow spraying around you. A joke. Why don't mammoths play tag? Because nobody's dumb enough to be it. You're not laughing, though your legs are burning and the cold's clawing at your chest. The strikers are ready, their silhouettes barely visible through the snow-dusted air. You drive the young mammoth closer, its massive feet churning the ground. A spear flies, then another, and the beast bellows, a sound that rattles your bones. Blood stains the snow, but it's not down yet. You're dodging now, weaving between boulders, praying it doesn't turn on you. Historians still argue whether humans hunted mammoths to extinction, or if climate change did most of the work either way. You're not thinking about ecology right now. You're just trying not to get squashed. Another spear hits, and the mammoth stumbles, its legs buckling. The clan roars, but you're too focused to celebrate. This thing's still dangerous. Dragging the carcass back is a nightmare. It's like moving a hairy mountain, and every step feels like a personal insult from the Ice Age. You're pulling with ropes made of twisted hide, your hands raw and bleeding. The clan's working together, but tempers are short, someone's yelling about a slipped knot, and you're tempted to tell them to chill, but you're too tired. Another joke. What's a mammoth's least favorite day? Leg day at the clan gym. You're not sure how you're still moving, but the promise of food keeps you going. The women and kids are already preparing the butchering tools, flint blades sharp enough to slice through hide like butter. Back at camp, the mood shifts. The mammoths are jackpot, but the work's just starting. You're hacking through layers of fat and muscle, the smell overwhelming, like wet fur and raw meat. The elders supervise, pointing out which parts to save: bones for tools, tusks for carving, even the stomach contents for some weird medicinal paste. You're gagging, but you keep going. The fire's roaring now, and the first chunks of meat are roasting, the scent making your mouth water. You're starving, but you know the rules. Elders and kids eat first. You glance at the pile of furs, remembering the reindeer hunt from a few days ago, same grind, bigger stakes. The stars are out, sharp as flint against the black sky, and you're finally chewing on a piece of mammoth. It's tough, greasy, but it's the best thing you've tasted in weeks. The clan's quiet, everyone too exhausted to talk much. You're starting to feel the weight of the day, your body aching, but there's a flicker of pride. You took down a giant, and you're still here. The wind's picking up, whispering through the camp, and you pull your furs tighter, wondering what tomorrow's hunt will bring. For now, you're alive, and that's enough. You're hunched in a cave, the damp stone walls glistening under the flicker of a small fire as the Ice Age night presses in like an uninvited guest. The air's thick with the smell of smoke, sweat, and something faintly sour, probably the pile of furs in the corner where your clan's been sleeping for weeks. Outside, the wind howls, but in here, it's a cramped kind of cozy, with maybe 20 of you squeezed into a space the size of a modern studio apartment. You're shoulder to shoulder with your cousin, who's snoring like a hibernating bear, and you're wondering how anyone gets any rest in this chaos. This is home, though at least until the herd you're tracking moves on. Mainstream fact. Archaeological digs, like those at Chauvet Cave in France, show that Ice Age humans used caves as temporary shelters, leaving behind tools, bones, and even art. Your cave's no five-star resort, but it's got the basics. A fire pit in the center, a makeshift windbreak of hides at the entrance, and a floor littered with pine needles for insulation. You're sprawled on a bed of furs, trying to ignore the rock digging into your back. The kids are giggling over a game involving knucklebones, think prehistoric dice, but less Vegas. More, please don't wake the baby. A quirky tidbit. Some caves show evidence of humans using bat guano as a fuel source when wood was scarce. Yeah. You're burning bat poop to stay warm, hope you packed some nose plugs. The fire's your lifeline, casting shadows that dance like ghosts on the walls. You're taking turns, keeping it going, because letting it die means freezing. And nobody's got time for that. The clan's elder, a wiry woman with a voice like gravel, is telling a story about the stars being the eyes of ancestors. You're half listening, half worrying about the mammoth meat from that hunt a few days ago, hope it's still good, because you're not keen on food poisoning in 80,000 BCE. A joke. What's an Ice Age chef's worst nightmare? A cave full of food critics with no Yelp. You smirk, but you're too tired to laugh out loud. Life in the cave is a team effort. You're helping patch a tear in a hide blanket, your fingers clumsy with bone needles. The women are scraping reindeer hides to make them soft for clothing, while the men sharpen spears for the next hunt. The kids, of course, are underfoot, stealing bits of fat to chew on like it's candy. You're amazed at how everyone's got a role. Even the toddler who's helping by tossing sticks into the fire, mostly missing naturally. Historians still argue whether Ice Age clans were egalitarian or had strict hierarchies. Some say everyone pitched in equally, others think the strongest hunters called the shots. You're leaning toward teamwork, because nobody's got the energy to play dictator when survival's on the line. The cave's alive with small sounds. The crackle of the fire, the soft murmur of voices, the occasional cough from someone who's been breathing too much smoke. You're starting to notice the little things that make this place home. The way your sister braids her hair with sinew, the pile of mammoth bones in the corner, waiting to be carved into tools. Another joke, why don't Ice Age clans redecorate? Because moving a boulder couch is a real pain. You're getting used to the rhythm here, but it's not exactly relaxing. Every creak outside could be a wolf, a lion, or just the wind, but you check anyway, spear in hand. Food prep's a group affair. You're grinding roots into a paste with a flat stone, your arms aching as the smell of charred mammoth fills the cave. Someone's roasting marrow bones, and your mouth waters despite the gritty root mush you're working on. The clan shares everything, because hoarding's a death sentence when food's this hard to come by. You're learning to appreciate the small wins, like the fact that nobody's gotten sick from that mammoth yet. The elder's still droning on about the stars, and you're starting to wonder if she's making it up as she goes. But her voice is soothing, and you're drifting, the cave's warmth pulling you towards sleep. You curl up closer to the fire, the furs beneath you smelling faintly of the reindeer from that earlier hunt. The cave's a bubble of safety in a world that's all teeth and ice, but you know it's temporary. Tomorrow, you'll be back on the move, chasing herds or dodging predators. For now, though, you're warm, fed, and surrounded by your clan's familiar chaos. The fire pops, and you close your eyes, letting the elder's voice blend with the wind outside. It's not much, but it's enough to keep you going another day. You're crouched by a pile of smouldering twigs, your fingers numb as you strike flint against flint, praying for a spark to catch. The cave's damp chill clings to you, and the faint light of dawn barely creeps through the hide-covered entrance. Your clan's huddled around, their breath visible in the dimness, counting on you to get this fire going before the cold sinks any deeper. The air smells of pine and ash, with a hint of the mammoth meat still hanging from yesterday's feast. Fire's not just warmth, it's life, cooking, safety, and the glue that holds your little world together. You're feeling the pressure, because if this doesn't work, you're all in for a very bad morning. Mainstream fact, archaeological evidence, like hearths found in sites across Europe, shows that Ice Age humans mastered fire, using it for heat, cooking, and even hardening wooden tools. You're no pyromaniac, but you've learned the drill. A nest of dry grass, a few sticks, and a lot of patience. You strike again, and a tiny spark lands finally. You blow gently, coaxing it into a flame, and the clan lets out a collective sigh. A quirky tidbit. Some researchers think early humans might have carried fire in hollowed-out bones or stones, like a prehistoric Zippo lighter. Imagine dropping that at a clan meetup talk about a hot commodity. The fire's crackling now, and you're piling on bigger branches, the warmth spreading like a hug you didn't know you needed. You're remembering the mammoth hunt, how the fire afterward turned raw meat into something almost heavenly. Now, it's transforming your cave into a livable space, pushing back the shadows and the cold. The kids are scooting closer, their faces glowing, while the elder from last night's storytelling starts roasting a chunk of reindeer. You're half tempted to make a s'mores joke, but good luck explaining marshmallows to this crowd. Instead, you savor the moment, the fire's heat thawing your fingers. Fire's not just practical, it's social. You're all gathered now, swapping stories, repairing tools, or just staring into the flames like it's the world's first Netflix. The elder's teaching a kid how to twist sinew into cord, her hands moving with a rhythm you're still trying to master. You're passing around a water skin, the leather stiff from the cold, and someone's humming a tune that's probably older than the hills outside. Historians still argue whether fire was more crucial for survival or for building community. Did it keep you alive or make you human? You're leaning toward both, because without this blaze, you'd be a popsicle, but without these people, you'd be lost. The fire's also your defense. You're glancing at the cave entrance, where the hide flaps in the wind, And you know what's out there: wolves, lions, maybe a bear with a bad attitude. The flames keep them at bay, their eyes glinting just beyond the light. A joke. Why don't cave bears crash your campfire? They're scared of your elder's death stare. You smirk, but you're still checking the shadows. The fire's light paints the cave walls, and you notice faint scratches, maybe art, maybe just someone bored. Either way, it's a reminder that this cave's been home to others before you. Cooking's the real game changer. You're watching the reindeer meat sizzle, fat dripping into the flames with a hiss that makes your stomach growl. Someone's boiling water in a leather pouch. Yeah, you can do that if you're careful, mixing in some roots for a broth that's more survival than gourmet. You're learning fast. Fire makes food last longer, softens tough roots, and kills whatever nasties might be lurking. Another joke. What's an Ice Age chef's secret ingredient? A pinch of desperation. You're chewing on a strip of meat now, the smoky flavor a small victory against the endless cold. The clan's settling in, the fire's warmth pulling everyone into a drowsy haze. You're leaning back against a rock, the furs beneath you, still smelling faintly of that mammoth from the big hunt. The elder's voice is softer now, recounting how the fire spirit saved the clan from a blizzard years ago. You're not sure if it's myth or memory, but it's soothing, like the hum of that fan you wish you had. The fire pops, sending a spark into the air, and you're starting to drift, the cave's walls blurring. Tomorrow, you'll be back on the move, but for now, this fire's your anchor, holding you steady in the Ice Age storm. You're hunched over a slab of mammoth bone, your hands gritty with dust as you chip away with a flint scraper, trying to shape it into something useful. The cave's fire casts a warm glow, but the air's still sharp, with the chill seeping through the hide-covered entrance. Your clan's scattered around, some sharpening stones, others stitching hides, all working to turn the raw stuff of the Ice Age into tools that'll keep you alive. The smell of singed fur and damp earth mixes with the faint tang of blood from yesterday's butchering. You're no craftsman yet, but you're learning every scrape, and cut is a step toward not freezing or starving. Mainstream fact: archaeological finds, like those at sites in the Czech Republic, reveal that Ice Age humans crafted sophisticated tools from bone, antler, and stone, using them for everything from hunting to sewing. You're working on a bone needle now, delicate enough to pierce hides but sturdy enough not to snap. Your fingers ache, and you're cursing under your breath as the bone slips again. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have used mammoth ivory to carve tiny figurines, maybe for rituals or just because they were bored. Imagine whittling a tiny mammoth while a real one stomps outside. Talk about irony. The flint scraper's your best friend, its edge sharp enough to shave hair off your arm if you had the time or inclination for grooming. You're watching the elder next to you, a guy with hands like gnarled roots, as he naps a stone into a spear point, each strike precise as a metronome. You try to mimic him, but your stone flakes into useless shards. He grunts, probably his version of, "Nice try, rookie." A joke. Why don't Ice Age toolmakers quit? Because they're too attached to their cutting-edge tech. You smirk, but you're focused, determined to get this needle right. Tools are everything here. You're surrounded by them. Awls for punching holes, scrapers for cleaning hides, even a weird contraption of antler and sinew that looks like a prehistoric multi-tool. The clan's survival depends on this stuff. Without a good spear, you're not eating. Without a needle, you're freezing. You're starting to appreciate the ingenuity, how every bone, stone, or stick gets repurposed. That mammoth from the hunt? Its bones are now tools, its hide a blanket, its fat a lamp fuel. Nothing goes to waste, because waste means death. Historians still argue whether tool-making sparked a cognitive leap in humans. Did crafting make you smarter, or were you smart enough to craft? You're too busy to care, but you're impressed by your clan's hustle. You're trying to drill a hole in the needle now, using a flint point spun between your palms. It's slow, and your hands are cramping, but you're getting there. Across the cave, a woman's shaping a stone blade, her focus intense, like she's solving a puzzle. You're struck by how everyone's got a knack, some carve, some nap, some weave. It's like a prehistoric assembly line, except nobody's punching a clock. Another joke. What's an Ice Age toolmaker's favorite song? Hit me with your best shot, literally. You're starting to get the hang of this, the needle's eye taking shape, and you feel a flicker of pride. The fire's crackling, and someone's passing around strips of dried reindeer from that earlier hunt, the meat tough but satisfying. You're chewing as you work, the rhythm of the cave settling into your bones. The kids are playing with leftover bone scraps, pretending they're spears, and you're half tempted to join them anything to avoid another failed needle. But you keep going, because that's the deal here. Keep making, keep moving, keep surviving. The elder's watching you now, nodding slightly, and you're not sure if it's approval or just him being too tired to critique. You're thinking back to the fire you built last night, how it made this work possible. Without it, you'd be fumbling in the dark, probably breaking every tool you touch. The cave's alive with small sounds, scraping, tapping, the occasional laugh, and you're starting to feel like part of something bigger. Your needle's done, rough but functional, and you test it by piercing a scrap of hide. It works. You're grinning like you just invented the wheel, even though that's a few millennia off. The Ice Age is teaching you patience, and you're learning to love the grind, one chip at a time. You're trudging across a vast tundra, your feet sinking into the frosty grass, the horizon a blurry line of hills under a sky that's more grey than blue. The air smells of wet earth and distant herds, and your clan's on the move again, following the faint trails of reindeer and musk oxen. Your pack's heavy furs, tools, a few chunks of dried mammoth meat from that epic hunt weeks ago, but stopping's not an option. The Ice Age doesn't do vacations, and neither do you. You're a nomad now, chasing food across a landscape that's as unforgiving as it is endless, your breath puffing out in clouds as you scan for signs of life. Mainstream fact. Archaeological evidence, like scattered campsites across Europe and Asia, confirms that Ice Age humans were nomadic, moving seasonally to follow migrating herds and find fresh resources. You're not wandering aimlessly. Your clan's got a mental map, passed down through stories and sharp eyes, of where the herds go and where the good berry patches hide. You're carrying a spear, its bone tip still stained from the last hunt, and you're watching the elder up ahead, her steps sure despite her age. She's pointing out landmarks, a twisted tree, a boulder shaped like a sleeping bear that keep you on track. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have marked their routes with piles of stones or carved bones, like prehistoric GPS. Imagine losing that marker and arguing over directions with no Google Maps. The wind's biting, and you're pulling your furs tighter, the same ones you stitched with that bone needle you're so proud of. The tundra's alive, with sounds distant hoofbeats, the cry of a hawk, the crunch of your clan's steps. You're covering miles today, and your legs are screaming, but you keep going. A joke. Why don't nomads get lost? Because the tundra's one big, freezing, you are here sign. You're not laughing, though your focus is on the ground, watching for frozen patches that could twist an ankle or worse. The kids are straggling, whining about the cold, but even they know the drill, keep up or get left behind. Your clan's small, maybe 15 of you, but you move like a unit. The elder's calling out to avoid a boggy patch, and you're grateful for her eagle eyes. You're learning to read the land too, the way grass bends where animals passed, the faint musk of musk oxen lingering in the air. Historians still argue whether nomads followed strict seasonal routes or wandered opportunistically. Did you plan your treks like a road trip, or just chase the nearest meal? You're betting on a bit of both, because your clan's not dumb enough to starve for tradition, but you've got a rhythm, a sense of where the good spots are. The day's wearing on, and you're starting to feel the weight of your pack like it's personal. You're dreaming of that cave you left behind, its fire and cramped warmth a distant memory. Another joke. What's a nomad's favorite exercise? Cardio, because you're always running from something: hunger, cold, or a very cranky rhino. You're scanning for a campsite now, somewhere with a bit of shelter from the wind. The elder points to a dip in the land, a shallow valley with a frozen stream nearby. It's not much, but it'll do. You're setting up, hammering stakes for a hide tent, your fingers fumbling in the cold. The clan's buzzing with quiet efficiency. Some gather firewood, others check the stream for fish or ice to melt. You're hauling a bundle of sticks, remembering the fire you built back in the cave, how it turned a freezing night into something bearable. The kids are already scavenging for berries, their laughter cutting through the wind. You're amazed at their energy, but you're too tired to join in. The sun's dipping, painting the tundra gold, and you're starting to feel the ache of another day on the move. You're chewing a strip of mammoth meat, its greasy toughness a reminder of that hard-won hunt. Night's closing in, and you're huddled under a hide tent, the stars sharp above. The elder's muttering about the herds, saying they're close, maybe a day away. You're hoping she's right, because the meat's running low, and you're not keen on eating lichen again. The tundra's quiet now, save for the wind and the faint howl of something in the distance. You pull your furs closer, the weight of the journey settling in. You're a nomad, always moving, always chasing. But for now, you're here, and that's enough to keep you dreaming of tomorrow's hunt. You're hunched over a pile of stiff hides, your fingers raw from stitching with that bone needle you crafted a while back, trying to make something to keep the Ice Age chill from turning you into a human icicle. The tundra winds howling outside your clan's makeshift tent, and the air smells of frost and the faint musk of the furs you're working with. Your clan's on a brief pause from the endless trek, and you're using it to patch together clothing that's more armor than fashion. Every stitch is a fight against the cold, and you're learning fast that looking good is less important than not freezing to death. Mainstream fact: archaeological finds, like those at Sungir in Russia, show that Ice Age humans wore complex clothing made of animal hides, often decorated with beads or ivory. You're working with reindeer hide, its thick fur a godsend against the sub-zero nights. The elder woman next to you, her hands steady despite the cold, shows you how to overlap the hides for extra warmth, using sinew thread that's stronger than it looks. You're poking the needle through, wincing as it snags, and wondering how anyone makes this look easy. A quirky tidbit: some clans might have dyed their furs with plant juices or ochre, adding a splash of color to their Arctic wardrobe. Imagine rocking a red-tinted mammoth cloak prehistoric haute couture. Your current outfit's a patchwork of furs, reindeer, fox, maybe some wolf from a lucky hunt. It's heavy, smells like a wet dog, and chafes in all the wrong places, but it's keeping you alive. You're trying to make a new pair of boots, because your old ones are more whole than hide after weeks of trudging across the tundra. The elders muttering about wrapping your feet in grass for insulation sounds like a hay fever nightmare, but you're willing to try anything. A joke. Why don't Ice Age tailors go out of business? Because everyone's dying for their latest cut. You smirk, but you're too focused to laugh, your fingers fumbling with the sinew. Clothing's not just about warmth, it's mobility. You're learning to balance layers so you can still run from a saber-toothed cat or chuck a spear without tripping over your own cloak. The kids are watching, giggling as you accidentally stitch your sleeve to the hide you're working on. You shoot them a mock glare, but secretly, you're jealous of their mittens, tiny, perfect, and probably warmer than your own. Historians still argue whether clothing was purely functional or a status symbol. Did those bone beads mean you were a big deal or just crafty? You're betting on function, because nobody's got time for a fashion show when a blizzard's rolling in. You're cutting strips of hide now, your flint blades scraping with a rhythm that's almost soothing. The tent's cramped, with furs and tools strewn everywhere, but it's a bubble of warmth against the tundra's bite. Someone's passing around a water skin, and you take a swig, the water so cold it hurts your teeth. Another joke: what's an Ice Age fashionista's motto? For real, stay warm. You're starting to get the hang of this, your stitches less crooked, your boots taking shape. The elder nods, which you're taking as high praise, and you feel a flicker of pride. You're not just surviving, you're building. The clan's buzzing quietly, everyone working on their own projects, sharpening spears, weaving baskets, or patching tents. You're thinking back to the mammoth hunt, how its hide is now part of your cloak, a reminder of that hard-won victory. The fire's low, just enough to keep your fingers from freezing, and you're grateful for that blaze you coaxed to life in the cave days ago. Outside, the wind's picking up, rattling the tent, and you're glad for every stitch holding your clothes together. The kids are playing with leftover beads, stringing them into necklaces, and you wonder if they're just toys or something more, maybe a gift for the spirits. You're wrapping up, your boots rough but functional, and you test them by stomping on the frozen ground. They hold, and you're grinning like you just invented sneakers. The elder's already moving on, showing a teenager how to make a hood that won't slip in a storm. You're starting to see the rhythm of this life. Every task, every stitch, is a thread tying you to the clan, to survival. The tundra's waiting outside, but for now, you're warm, your hands busy, and the faint glow of the fire feels like a promise. You pull your cloak tighter, ready for whatever the Ice Age throws next. You're standing in the dim flicker of a fat lamp, its smoky glow casting jagged shadows on the cave wall as you dip a finger into a mix of ochre and water, smearing it across the rough stone. The air's damp, smelling of earth, and the faint tang of the mammoth fat fueling the lamp. Your clan's settled for the night, the tundra outside howling with wind, but in here you're painting scratching lines, dabbing colors, trying to capture something bigger than the daily grind of survival. The cave's your canvas, and you're no Picasso. But there's a strange pull to leave a mark, to tell a story that might outlast you. Mainstream fact, archaeological discoveries, like the cave paintings at Lascaux and Altamira, show that Ice Age humans created intricate art, depicting animals and symbols with surprising skill. You're tracing the outline of a reindeer, its antlers curving like branches, using a stick dipped in charcoal. The elder beside you, her hands stained red from ochre, guides your strokes, her voice low and rhythmic, like she's channeling something ancient. A quirky tidbit, some caves have handprints made by blowing pigment through hollow reeds, like a prehistoric spray can. Imagine your clan inventing graffiti, hope nobody's tagging "Grok was here" on the walls. The process is slow, your fingers stiff from the cold, and you're second-guessing every line. Is this reindeer too skinny? Will the spirits, or whatever your clan believes in, approve? The lamp's flickering, and you're squinting to see, the smoke stinging your eyes. A joke. Why don't Ice Age artists sign their work? Because nobody's got a last name yet. You're focused, though, adding dots for eyes, smudging ochre to mimic fur. The cave's quiet, save for the drip of water somewhere deep, and the soft hum of a clanmate nearby, carving bone into beads. It's like an art studio, but with worse lighting and a higher chance of frostbite. This isn't just doodling, it's meaning. You're painting the animals you hunt, like that mammoth from weeks ago, its massive form now a smudgy shape on the wall. Maybe it's respect, maybe it's magic, or maybe it's just a way to process the chaos of the Ice Age. Historians still argue whether these paintings were religious, practical, or just creative outlets. Did you paint to pray for a good hunt, to teach the kids, or because you were bored? You're leaning toward all three, because the way the elder's eyes light up when she sees your reindeer suggests this matters, even if you don't fully get why. You're mixing more pigment now, grinding charcoal with a stone, your hands black as the night outside. The elder's telling a story about how the animal's spirits live in the walls. And you're half listening, half wondering if you'll ever be this good. The kids are peeking over, wide-eyed, like you're some kind of wizard. Another joke. What's an Ice Age artist's worst critic? A cave bear with no taste. You're starting to feel the weight of this act. Every stroke is a connection to something bigger, something that'll stay when you're gone. The lamp's burning low, and you're rushing to finish before it gutters out. The cave's alive with shadows, the paintings seeming to move in the flickering light. You're stepping back, wiping your hands on your fur cloak. Probably not the best idea, since it's now streaked with ochre. The reindeer looks okay, not perfect, but it's yours. The elder nods, which you're taking as a win, and you feel a spark of pride. You're thinking back to the tools you made, the fire you built, how each small act builds on the last. This painting's another piece of that, a way to say, we were here, we saw this, we survived. The clan's settling down, the lamps fading, and you're ready to rest. The art lingering in your mind like a dream. You're curling up near the fire. The cave's chill creeping in as the lamp dies. The paintings are barely visible now, but you can feel them. A silent story etched into the stone. The elder's voice is a soft drone, blending with the wind outside, and you're drifting, the weight of the day pulling you under. Tomorrow, you'll be back on the tundra. But for now, you're surrounded by your clan, your art, and the faint hope that someone, someday, will see what you've left behind. You're crouched in the flickering glow of a small fire, the cave's walls damp and glistening as a low chant hums through the air, led by a figure draped in furs adorned with bone beads. The smell of burning herbs, maybe sage or something earthier, mixes with the musky scent of your clan's unwashed bodies, creating a haze that feels both heavy and sacred. It's a ritual, one of those moments where the Ice Age feels less like a survival slog and more like a glimpse into something bigger. You're not sure if it's spirits, gods, or just hope you're reaching for, but you're caught up in the rhythm, your heart thudding in time with the chants. Mainstream fact. Archaeological evidence, like ritual burials and symbolic artifacts found at sites like Dolny Viestanis, suggests Ice Age humans practiced spiritual ceremonies, possibly to honor the dead or invoke protection. The figure leading the ritual, call them the shaman, holds a carved antler, its surface etched with spirals, and they're swaying. Eyes half closed, like they're seeing something you can't. You're passing around a bowl of bitter, chalky paste, maybe ground roots or minerals, and you take a small dab, grimacing at the taste. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have used hallucinogenic plants in rituals, though evidence is thin. Imagine tripping out in a cave, thinking a mammoth spirit is giving you life advice wild times. The fire's throwing shadows that dance like they've got a mind of their own, and you're watching the shaman paint ochre on a clanmate's face, muttering words you don't fully understand. It's about the hunt, maybe, or the stars, or the cold that's been creeping closer. You're not sure, but you feel it, the weight of something unseen tying you to the clan, to the tundra, to the animals you painted on the cave wall yesterday. A joke. Why's the shaman so calm? Because they've got a direct line to the spirit world's customer service. You stifle a grin, trying to stay respectful, but the paste is making your head buzz. The ritual's purpose is murky, and that's the point. Historians still argue whether these ceremonies were about appeasing spirits, ensuring good hunts, or just coping with the Ice Age's relentless grind, maybe all of the above. You're swaying with the group now, the chant pulling you in, your voice blending with the others. The shaman's antler taps the ground, and you're sprinkling a handful of ash into the fire, watching it flare. It's for luck, or protection, or maybe just tradition, but it feels right. You're thinking back to the mammoth hunt, how its spirit might be here, watching, and you're hoping you honored it properly. The cave's alive with sound chants, the crackle of the fire, the soft clink of beads as the shaman moves. You're noticing details, the way the elder's hands tremble as she passes the bowl, the way the kids are wide-eyed, half scared, half entranced. Another joke. What's an Ice Age ritual's dress code? Furs, beads, and a vibe check from the ancestors. You're feeling the weight of the moment, like you're part of something ancient, something that'll echo long after you're gone. The shaman's voice rises, sharp and urgent, and you're clapping now, the rhythm pulsing through you like a second heartbeat. The fire's burning low, and the shaman's wrapping up, smearing ash on the cave floor in a pattern that might mean something or nothing. You're not sure, but you're calm, the chant still lingering in your chest. The clan's quieter now, settling onto furs, the ritual's energy fading into a soft hum. You're thinking of the fire you built, the tools you shaped, how they all led to this moment, this connection. The past's aftertaste lingers, bitter but grounding, and you're wondering what the spirits, or whatever they are, think of your little clan, scraping by in this frozen world. You're curling up near the fire, its warmth, a faint echo of the ritual's intensity. The cave feels different now, like it's holding on to the chants, the ash, the hope. The shaman's sitting silently, staring into the embers, and you're not sure if they're exhausted or just lost in thought. The tundra's waiting outside, but for now, you're here, wrapped in furs. The ritual's glow fading into your dreams. You're not sure what you believe, but you feel it, a thread tying you to the past, to the future, to something bigger than the Ice Age's endless cold. You're frozen in your tracks, heart pounding, as a massive shadow moves across the tundra, its growl rumbling like distant thunder. The air's sharp, with the scent of frost and something muskier. Maybe the woolly rhino grazing 100 yards away, its horn glinting in the weak sunlight. Your clan's halted, spears gripped tight, as you scan the landscape for more of the Ice Age's megafauna, the giant beasts that rule this world. From saber-toothed cats to cave bears, these creatures are everywhere, and you're just a squishy human trying not to end up as lunch. The wind's picking up, and you're pulling your fur cloak stitched with that bone needle you're still proud of tighter against the chill. Mainstream fact. Fossil records show that the Pleistocene was home to megafauna, like woolly mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant sloths, many of which humans interacted with, either as prey or predators. You're eyeing that rhino now, its bulk like a living tank, and you're glad your clan's not desperate enough to take it on. You've got memories of that mammoth hunt, the sheer terror of facing something so big, and this rhino's no less intimidating. A quirky tidbit. Some evidence suggests early humans might have used megafauna dung as a fire starter. Nothing says resourceful, like lighting a campfire with rhino poop. You're not thrilled about that idea, but survival's not picky. The tundra's a zoo of giants. You spot a herd of musk oxen in the distance, their shaggy coats steaming in the cold, and you're pretty sure you saw a cave lion's tail flick behind a boulder earlier. Your clan's leader, a wiry guy with a scar from a hunt gone wrong, signals to skirt the rhino's path. You're moving quietly, your boots crunching softly on the frosty grass. Every sense on high alert. A joke. Why don't you play hide and seek with a saber-toothed cat? Because it's got a real bite to its game. You're too tense to laugh, your eyes darting between the rhino and the horizon, where a flock of giant birds, maybe teratons, circles ominously. Encounters like this are why you're always on edge. Historians still argue whether humans actively hunted megafauna or mostly scavenged their kills. Did you chase down rhinos, or just pick at what the lions left behind? You're betting on scavenging when you can, because tangling with a beast that size feels like signing up for a very bad day. You're remembering the fire you built back in the cave, how it kept the predators at bay, and you're wishing for its glow now. The clan's moving faster, keeping low, and you're clutching your spear like it's a lifeline, though you know it's no match for a charging rhino. A sudden roar splits the air, and you freeze a cave bear. Its massive paws churning the snow, lumbers into view. It's not after you, thank the spirits, but it's close enough to make your stomach lurch. The kids in your clan are clinging to the adults, their usual chatter silenced. Another joke. What's a cave bear's favorite snack? Anything that screams. You're not amused. Your focus on the bear as it sniffs the air, then ambles off. The clan exhales, and you're moving again. The rhino now, a distant hump on the plain. You're learning fast. Every step in this world is a dance with danger. The landscape's alive, with tracks, hoofprints from musk oxen, claw marks from something bigger. You're pointing them out to a younger clanmate, teaching them to read the signs like the elder taught you during that long trek across the tundra. The wind's carrying faint trumpets of mammoths, and you're hoping they stay far off. You're thinking of the ritual from last night, how the shaman's chants felt like a shield against this wild world. The clan's tightening formation now, everyone sensing the need to find a safer spot to camp. You're scanning for a rise, maybe a cluster of boulders, anything to break the wind and hide from prying eyes. You're exhausted, the weight of your pack dragging at your shoulders, but the sight of those megafauna keeps you sharp. The tundra's beautiful in its own brutal way, all rolling hills and glittering frost, but it's a beauty that can kill you. You're grateful for your clan, for the tools you've made, for the fire waiting at the next camp. For now, you're just another creature in this megafauna menagerie, moving carefully, hoping to see another sunrise. You're shivering under a sky heavy with clouds, the tundra stretching out like a frozen sea as a sudden gust carries the sharp bite of colder air. The Ice Age climate's a moody beast, swinging from biting freezes to brief thaws that turn the ground to mush under your boots. You're trudging with your clan, the furs you stitched weeks ago now damp and heavy, and you're squinting at the horizon, wondering if the next storm will bury you or just make you miserable. The air smells of wet grass and distant snow, and you're clutching your spear, less for hunting and more for something to lean on. The world feels like it's holding its breath, and you're just trying to keep up. Mainstream fact. Paleoclimatic data, like ice core samples, show that the Pleistocene was marked by rapid climate shifts, with sudden cold snaps and brief warm periods disrupting life for humans and animals alike. You're feeling it now. A thaw turned the trail into a bog yesterday, slowing your clan's trek, but today's drop in temperature has frozen it solid again, cracking underfoot like brittle bones. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have used animal bladders as makeshift canteens to carry water during dry spells, because even in the Ice Age, hydration was a hassle. Imagine lugging a sloshy deer bladder across the tundra. Glamorous, right? The weather's not just annoying, it's a threat. You're scanning for shelter, maybe a rocky outcrop, as the wind picks up, stinging your face like a swarm of tiny bees. The elder's muttering about a big freeze coming, her eyes on the clouds, and you trust her gut more than any weather app that won't exist for millennia. You're remembering the mammoth hunt, how a sudden snow squall nearly blinded you mid-chase, and you're not keen for a repeat. A joke. Why is the Ice Age weather so moody? It's got too many cold fronts and not enough warm fuzzies. You're too chilled to laugh, your fingers tightening around the spear as you push forward. Adapting's the name of the game. You're wrapping extra strips of hide around your boots, a trick you picked up from the clan's last thaw when mud tried to eat your feet. The kids are whining, their small furs soaked, but they're still scampering ahead, tossing snow at each other like it's a game. You're jealous of their energy, but you're also watching them, learning how to move lighter, waste less effort. Historians still argue whether climate shifts forced humans to innovate or just made life harder. Did the cold spark your tool-making skills? Or just make you really good at complaining? You're betting on innovation, because your clan's still here, stitching, hunting, surviving. The sky's darkening now, and you're helping set up a quick camp, piling rocks to block the wind. The fire's a struggled damp wood from the thaws not cooperating, but you're channeling that fire-building know-how from the cave days, coaxing a spark into a flame. Another joke. What's an Ice Age weatherman's forecast? Cold today, colder tomorrow. Good luck. You're warming your hands, the clan huddling closer as the temperature keeps dropping. You're chewing a strip of dried reindeer, its toughness a reminder of the hunt that feels like a lifetime ago. The elders pointing out a faint glow on the horizon, maybe a break in the clouds, maybe just wishful thinking. The climate's whims shape everything. You're noticing how the herds are thinner, the musk oxen you saw yesterday moving slower, like they're feeling the cold's grip too. The kids are piling furs into a makeshift tent. And you're helping, your hands clumsy from the chill. You're thinking of the ritual, how the shaman's chants seem to plead with the sky for mercy. No mercy today, though the wind's howling louder, and you're grateful for every stitch in your cloak. The clan's quiet, everyone focused on staying warm, staying alive. You're learning to read the weather like the elder, spotting the signs: a shift in the wind, a change in the snow's texture that mean trouble's coming. Night's falling, and you're curled up under furs, the fire's faint glow barely holding back the cold. The tundra's silent, save for the wind's low moan, and you're wondering how many more shifts like this you can take. The elder's humming softly, a tune from that cave night, and it's grounding, like a thread tying you to the clan's stubborn survival. You're not sure what tomorrow's weather will bring, but you're here, breathing, ready to face it, with whatever the Ice Age throws next. You're sitting cross-legged on a pile of furs, the fire's faint crackle mixing with the soft chatter of your clan as you share a tough strip of dried mammoth meat from that hard-won hunt weeks ago. The tent's canvas of hides flaps gently in the tundra wind, and the air smells of smoke, sweat, and the faint sweetness of berries someone managed to scrounge. Your clan may be 15 souls. From the grizzled elder to the toddler gnawing on a bone is more than just a group. It's your lifeline, the knot that keeps you tethered in this frozen world. You're passing the meat to a wiry teenager who grins like it's a gourmet treat, and you're struck by how tight this little family is, even when the Ice Age tries to tear you apart. Mainstream fact: archaeological evidence, like communal living sites and shared tool caches, suggests Ice Age clans were tight-knit, relying on cooperation to survive harsh conditions. You're watching the elder now, her hands weaving a basket from dried grass, teaching a kid the pattern with a patience you envy. She's the glue, the one who remembers the stories, the roots, the tricks, like how to wrap your feet in grass to keep warm. A tip you're still using from that muddy thaw, a quirky tidbit. Some clans might have traded rare items, like seashells found far inland, hinting at networks between groups. Imagine bartering a shiny rock for a better spear. Prehistoric Etsy, no shipping fees. The clan's a machine, every part moving together. You're helping patch a tear in the tent. Your bone needle, yeah, the one you're still smug about slipping through the hide. Across the fire, a woman's nursing, a baby while sharpening a flint blade, multitasking like a pro. The men are sorting spears, debating which one's best for the next hunt, and you're catching snippets of their banter, half laughing at their bravado. A joke: why's the clan so good at teamwork? Because nobody wants to be the one who ticks off the elder. You're grinning, but you're also stitching faster. Knowing a leaky tent means a cold night. It's not just work that binds you. You're playing a game with the kids, tossing knucklebones to see who can land the most in a row. It's silly, but it's joy. A rare break from the grind. The teenager's telling a story about a hunt gone wrong, mimicking the elder's scowl, and the whole clan's laughing, even her. Historians still argue whether clans were families by blood or chosen groups. Did you stick with kin or adopt stragglers who could pull their weight? You're betting on a mix, because the way this group bickers feels like siblings, but the way they share everything screams survival over sentiment. The fire's low, and you're passing around a water skin, the water so cold it stings. You're thinking of the ritual a few nights back, how the shaman's chants made you feel like part of something bigger. That's what the clan is: bigger than you, bigger than the tundra. Another joke. What's an Ice Age clan's group chat? Yelling across the fire. 0 bars. All vibes. You're helping a kid untangle their fur cloak now, their small hands clumsy, and you're struck by how even the littlest ones have a role, carrying sticks or watching for danger. The night's deepening, and the clan's settling in, the tent a cocoon against the wind. You're sharing stories now. Quieter ones about the stars, the herds, the ancestors. The elder's voice is a steady hum, tying you to the cave nights, the hunts, the endless treks. You're chewing the last of the mammoth, savouring it, knowing food's never guaranteed. The clan's your anchor, your reason to keep stitching, hunting, moving. You're watching the toddler curl up against their mother, and you feel it a fierce need to protect this fragile, stubborn group. The Ice Age is cold, but the clan's warmth is stronger. You're pulling your furs closer, the fire's embers glowing like tiny stars. the teenagers still chattering, but softer now, and you're drifting, the clan's presence a steady pulse. You're thinking of the tools you made, the fire you built, how they all serve this family. The tundra's waiting outside, but in here, you're safe, surrounded by people who'd fight a cave bear for you, and you'd do the same. The elders humming that tune again, and it's pulling you towards sleep, the clan's bond, a quiet promise that you'll face tomorrow together. You're trudging across a thinning tundra, the once endless herds of reindeer and musk oxen now sparse, their hoofprints fading into the frost like ghosts. The air's sharp with the smell of snow. But there's something else, a quiet. Like the world's holding its breath. Your clan's moving slower, spears at the ready, but you're noticing fewer animals, fewer signs of the megafauna that used to dominate every hill. The woolly rhino you dodged a while back feels like a rare sighting now. And the mammoth tracks you followed weeks ago are just memories. The ice age is shifting, and you're feeling the weight of a world where the giants are slipping away. Mainstream fact. Fossil records and extinction patterns show that many megafauna, like woolly mammoths and saber-toothed cats, began disappearing toward the end of the Pleistocene, likely due to a mix of climate change and human activity. You're scanning the horizon, hoping for a glimpse of a herd, but the plains are eerily empty. Your clan's elder, her face creased like old leather, mutters about the spirits being angry, or maybe the land's just tired. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have used megafauna bones to build shelters, stacking mammoth ribs like a prehistoric IKEA kit. Imagine hauling a rhino femur to make a roof talk about extreme home makeovers. The absence of animals is hitting hard. You're chewing on the last scraps of dried reindeer, rationing carefully because the hunts haven't been as lucky lately. The kids are quieter, their usual bone-tossing games replaced with anxious glances at the empty landscape. You're clutching your fur cloak stitched with that trusty bone needle against a wind that feels colder, meaner. A joke. Why's the tundra so quiet now? The megafauna forgot to RSVP to the Ice Age party. You're not laughing, though. Your stomach's growling, and you're wondering if you'll have to start eating lichen like some desperate tundra hipster. The environment's changing, and you're adapting or trying to. The elders pointing out new plants creeping into the grasslands, tougher ones that the reindeer don't like, and you're learning to dig for roots that taste like dirt but fill the gap. Historians still argue whether humans overhunted megafauna to extinction or if warming climates did the heavy lifting. Did your spears kill off the mammoths? Or did the thawing tundra starve them? You're leaning toward both. Because your clan's been hunting hard, but the weather's been flipping like a bad mood, with thaws turning to freezes overnight. You're remembering the mammoth hunt, how its meat fed you for weeks, and now you're wondering if you'll ever see another. You're helping set up camp near a frozen stream, piling rocks to block the wind, your hands numb but moving from habit. The fire's a struggle, wood scarcer as the trees thin out, and you're channeling those fire-building skills from the cave days, coaxing a spark from damp twigs. Another joke, what's a megafauna's retirement plan? Disappearing before you can hunt them again. The clan's tense, everyone feeling the pinch of less food, fewer hides. You're teaching a kid to spot edible plants, mimicking the elders' lessons from that long trek across the tundra. It's not much, but it's something to pass on, a thread of hope in a shrinking world. The stars are out, sharp and cold, and you're huddled under the tent. The fire's glow barely enough to warm your fingers. The elders telling stories of when the plains teemed with beasts, her voice heavy with loss. You're thinking of the cave paintings, those vivid reindeer and mammoths now feeling like a tribute to a fading world. The clans sharing a handful of berries, tart and meager, and you're savoring each one, knowing tomorrow's hunt might come up empty. The wind's carrying a faint howl, maybe a wolf, maybe just the tundra mourning its giants. You're starting to see the Ice Age not just as cold, but as fragile, slipping away like the herds. You're curling up in your furs, the clan's quiet breaths a reminder of the bonds that keep you going. The fire's low, but it's enough, a flicker tying you to the nights of rituals and stories. You're wondering what the world will look like without the megafauna, without the thundering herds. the elders humming softly, and you're drifting. The tundra's silence wrapping around you. Tomorrow's uncertain, but you're here, with your clan, facing the Ice Age's changes together. You're standing on a windswept hill, the tundra stretching out softer now, its icy edges blurring as a faint warmth kisses the air. The glaciers that once loomed like frozen giants are shrinking, their retreat leaving behind muddy streams and patches of green you've never seen before. The air smells cleaner, less sharp, with hints of wet soil and new grass, and your clan's moving slower, sensing the world's shifting under your feet. The mammoth tracks you followed months ago are gone, and even the reindeer herds seem to linger longer in one place. The Ice Age is thawing, and you're caught between hope for easier days and unease about what this new world will demand. Mainstream fact: geological records, like sediment layers and pollen samples, show that around 10,000 BCE, the Pleistocene began warming, marking the end of the Ice Age as glaciers retreated and ecosystems shifted. You're noticing it in small ways. The snow's thinner, the days longer, and the wind doesn't bite as hard. Your fur cloak stitched with that bone needle you're still smug about feels heavy now, almost too warm. A quirky tidbit. Some clans might have started experimenting with early plant cultivation as the tundra gave way to forests, like the world's first accidental gardeners. Imagine trying to grow a salad in a world where you're used to chasing mammoths. Talk about a career change. The thaw's changing everything. You're wading through a stream that used to be frozen solid, the water cold but not deadly, and you're spotting fish darting in the shallows, new prey, new possibilities. The elders squinting at the horizon, muttering about moving south where the herds might still roam. You're thinking back to the megafauna disappearing, how the tundra's quiet felt like a warning. A joke. Why's the Ice Age thawing? It's ready to retire and move to a warmer climate. You're not laughing though. Your clan's low on food, and the roots you've been digging up aren't cutting it. The landscape's transforming, and you're adapting, learning to fish with a sharpened stick and gather strange new plants. The kids are splashing in the stream, their laughter lighter than it's been in months, and you're almost jealous of their carefree vibe. Historians still argue whether the warming climate pushed humans to settle or kept them nomadic. Did the thaw make you stay put or chase new lands? You're betting on chasing, because your clan's restless, always following the faint promise of better hunting grounds. You're helping build a new camp now, using branches instead of mammoth bones, a nod to the changing world. The fire's easier to start tonight, the wood drier than it was during those freezing nights. You're channeling that fire-building skill from the cave, the memory of its warmth tying you to the clan's survival. Another joke. What's a thawing tundra's favorite song? Let It Go, obviously. You're sitting by the fire, sharing a small catch of fish, their flavor fresh and strange compared to the greasy mammoth meat you savored. The elders teaching a teenager to weave a net for fishing, and you're watching, learning, your hands itching to try something new. The stars are softer tonight, less sharp, and you're wondering what stories the clan will tell in this warmer world. The thaw's a promise, but it's also a challenge. You're noticing more birds, their calls unfamiliar, and the tundra's sprouting flowers you don't recognize. The clan's buzzing with quiet hope. But there's fear too. Will the herds come back? Or is this new green world a trap? You're thinking of the ritual, the cave paintings, how they felt like anchors to a fading past. The elder's voice is low, telling a story about a time when the ice was eternal, and you're listening, the fire's glow pulling you in. You're ready for whatever comes. Your clan by your side, the Ice Age's grip loosening with every warm breeze. You're lying back now, the fire's embers glowing like tiny fading stars, their soft crackle blending with the gentle rustle of leaves in a world no longer locked in ice. The air's kinder, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant flowers, and your clan's breaths are slow, steady, a quiet rhythm that wraps you in calm. The tundra's softening, its hard edges melting into something new, something alive, and you feel it too, a loosening in your chest, a sense that the fight's easing, just for tonight. You're pulling your furs close, not for warmth but for comfort. Their familiar weight a reminder of the hunts, the treks, the nights you survived together. The elder's humming fades, her voice a whisper now, weaving stories into dreams. The stars above blur, soft and distant, and you're sinking, the world's new warmth cradling you like a promise. Let the thaw carry you. Let the clan's bond hold you. Let sleep come slow and gentle. You're here. You're enough. And the Ice Age's long night is fading into dawn.